Hey, everybody. Every time I get to come in front of you with great people, I get super excited. And then, I usually get ahead of myself, but I'm going to take a step back. You know who I am. I am attorney Jamila Moore, the entrepreneur's attorney and business strategist, where I help people just like you start, structure, and grow your businesses while legally protecting your business, your brand, and your profits. Now, if y'all know me, y'all know, I love the Lord. And so I know people who also love the Lord. And so today we have our special guest here, Charmaigne Wallace, and we're going to talk about the responsibility of being an entrepreneur of faith. Now, before we get into this conversation, I want to tell you a little bit about Charmaigne Wallace. Now, she is an entrepreneur and she owns a fashion sales agency that represents international brands, y'all. She worldwide here across the United States and making sure that they have their brand and that they're making the right sales. Not only is she that, she's a speaker. We're going to see that come out of her today. And then finally, she is a licensed minister. So she's going to help us get our life and get our businesses because she's a very successful business owner. Charmaigne, you want to say welcome to the people?
Hi, everybody.
So, I have the pleasure of getting to know her since probably like 2015, 2016. But, I've been excited to hear about her entrepreneurial journey. And I want to know, like, what made you get into entrepreneurship?
I don't think it's something that I got into because I've always been entrepreneurial as a teen. Even before then, I would say I was creative with developing business and businesses. Although I didn't quite know what it was or what I was doing at the time, it was all very much a part of my makeup, coming up with ways to make money. And I was mindful of my time and having the freedom of time.
Y'all, she just gave a major key. Type in the chat right now, freedom of time. That is one of the reasons why entrepreneurship is so important. I mean, me, myself, I got tired of being boxed in that office. My boss being in Hawaii, it sounded like she was walking and chirping with the birds, and I'm in the box. So I was like, something has to change. Now, it's important for us to know that, you were more seasoned when you entered into entrepreneurship. So what did you have to tell yourself to believe that you could do
it? Let's think about this. More seasoned. For me, it was different. I always believed that I could do it. As for being seasoned professionally, I work within the fashion wholesale arena. So when I started working for myself, I was doing the same thing amongst people that I had established relationships with over the years.
Okay. Did you have to overcome any fears, or you were just like, no, I got it and I'm going for it?
I had a fear of being boxed in. I had a fear of not reaching my potential. So those were my fears, to be frank.
Yeah, no, that's key. Like, and I need my audience to really lean into that. Like, you can be fearful of the unknown, or you could actually be fearful of you not even showing up as the maximized you.
Exactly.
And
the thing with that, and you just made something come to my mind. It's like, you can always get another job, right? You have experience, you know how to interview, all of those wonderful things. You have a network, you can always land another position. But I would have had the question mark if I didn't take the steps and just jump out the window to start the business.
Y'all, she's dropping so many gems. I don't know if y'all are catching them. Will you have the question mark over your life as time goes on? That's a serious question, because for somebody, it's because we all should be entrepreneurial minded, solutions minded. And so for people who know that they have that business idea, that dream down on the inside of them, will you have that question mark? For people who want to excel in a corporate company or a nonprofit, will you have that question mark, or will you trust in you?
Will you trust in you? I like that.
Ah! Somebody type in the chat right now. I am going to trust in me. And we know we're talking about being an entrepreneur of faith. So that means if you trust in you, the thing you really, or the being you really have to trust in is trusting in God.
Absolutely.
And what role did God play in your entrepreneurial journey?
Hmm. Well, he's a partner, I would say.
Mm.
It's an interesting question. For me, there's no separation between God and my businesses. He's a partner of mine, and I was intentional about not putting God on the side when I started.
Listen, entrepreneurs of faith, kingdom entrepreneurs, whatever it is you want to call yourself. Did you hear what she said? She made him a partner and she did not put him off to the side. And it reminds me of that verse where it says, in all your ways, acknowledge God and he will direct your paths.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you aren't acknowledging him as a partner in your business, to me, he's my boss. And I've been saying he's the best boss in the world because, my PTO is looking right now. The benefits that are there, is great. And as long as I'm acknowledging him, he is directing my paths and correcting me when I'm trying to run out here and do things he didn't ordain for me to do.
It's so true. It is so, so true. And I think about steps of faith that we take, right? When he's on board, or how much easier it is, and a constant reminder to do so. Like when I started my business, the economy was going in a terrible direction. So my faith and knowing God was with me had me working against the grain in a way that I might not have necessarily have been doing if he wasn't on deck. And because God was on deck, his instruction and his instruction and direction helped me to flourish.
Listen, y'all need to take that down in y'all notes. His instruction and direction will help you to flourish. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to be sitting there daily like, God, what's the instruction and direction? If you're on a 9-to-5, what's the instruction and direction?
Yeah.
And she got it because, she'll tell you a little bit more about her business and what she's been able to do. But before we get into that, I want you to kind of shed a light for our audience about why entrepreneurship is so important, especially for communities of color.
That's good. I mean, I bet you'll get a different answer, right, from each person. I would say that entrepreneurship is important for me because of my personality. It tends to be spontaneous, and I have one that requires flexibility and freedom. It was always challenging for me to stay within frameworks that are creative for you. And we know too many of the time when it's created, it's more of a benefit to the other side, the maker, the creator, I'll say. For me, it just starts feeling like I'm in jail or something. Mm-hmm. But again, that's my personality, right? And as for entrepreneurship being important to me as a female and a Black one in this country, I need to have financial power, right? I need to be in a position to help and to serve others and to support the causes that I believe in. I heard somebody say your money is a missionary, and that stuck with me. And also fulfillment is key. I believe that God designed me this way, and outside of it, I wouldn't be who I am.
Listen, so for her, entrepreneurship, and for me, it revolves around purpose,
yes,
mission, and financial freedom. I remember the first time I beat my monthly salary in 3 days.
I love it. Dope.
Like that was like, whoa.
Yes.
If you had stayed in that place, this would not be possible. So though entrepreneurship is not the easiest thing, it takes the limits off of your earning capabilities. And, if you're an entrepreneur of faith, God decides how much money you will make.
And God is limitless. We know with these roles, a lot of the time, there's caps. I mean, and so will you always get paid like truly what you're worth? And according to what your contribution is at the job? Probably not.
Yeah. And it's typically a battle that comes to play too when you're there, when you're trying to show your worth, when you're trying to establish your
Right.
value. That's one of the reasons how I ended up in LA, because there was just no way that I was going to stay at a company that decided that I was good enough to do the work of an associate general counsel 5 months into being an attorney, then turn around and say, you're not good enough for the pay. You're not good enough for the title. And I said, you don't know my God. So you can't decide that that's a limit for me. So I'm going after more, which is why we have I am and more. Oh man. So you talked a little bit before about how you partner with God, right, in your business, but you are a licensed minister. How have you been able to build your faith through entrepreneurship and or help others build their faith?
I would say, let's think about that for a minute, right? So probably by sharing my story and by encouraging other people towards their success and their personal relationship with God, to demonstrate what it looks like to take God at his word.
To demonstrate what it takes to take God at his word. Woo, that's a deep one. Y'all should be typing that in the chat, writing that in your notes. Because man, that's what this journey is. You shared with me before around the thought of faith without works is dead.
Yes.
And a lot of times we end up with dead businesses because we don't work our faith. Can you kind of break that down for our audience?
Because we have a responsibility, right, to take action. Let me share with you, right? We're mostly believers here. So I was talking to God, having this conversation with God in my head. And I was thinking about all the people I know personally who are millionaires or just like super duper successful or public figures. And that's not to say that there aren't believers who are, but I'm talking about within my immediate network and circle. And I'm like, I know these people. So I know they started at the same place as the rest of us. They weren't born with silver spoon, had any type of unfair advantages, or at least that's what people call them, right? When it's not you. And I'm like, okay, they're very successful. They have money. I'm talking to God, like, what's up with this? And the believers and people that are serving you and working with you. And the response was like, so just mind blowing, profound. 3 words. Well, actually it was 4 words. I heard they did the work. I think I may have shared this with you.
Yeah, but I wanted you to share it with the audience.
That was the thing that set them apart, is that they actually believed in themselves and they did the work and took the necessary steps to build and to go forward in the things that they wanted to do and establish.
Yeah, do the work. That's what she basically just told us. That separates
the work.
Being like just an entrepreneur or being a multimillionaire on your path to being a millionaire. One of the things that I love to bring out as it relates to entrepreneurship is allowing your faith to inform moments of disappointment. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be disappointed at some point, because you come out with this idea of like what you think should happen and the amount of people that you think will come, and they will come, but it just not may be in your timeline. So how can we as entrepreneurs learn to trust God and manage disappointment as we go through his timeline and not ours?
I think being honest with yourself, like a little taking self-inventory and saying, you know what, did I do all of what I could have done? Am I still learning? Am I putting as much effort into this as I should have? First, just starting with those questions. And also, who's to say when it's supposed to take off? I think you just continue to perfect your offer and continue to be an answer, a solution to somebody's problem. And I think it's inevitable. Your success will be inevitable when you are an answer to somebody's problem. when you're a solution to somebody's concern.
Listen, she just told us if we continue, success is inevitable. But we sometimes give up and become disheartened and we stop going along the journey.
Yeah.
We stop going along the journey. And I know I'm throwing some other questions out at you because things are just flowing.
Oh,
But
right.
one of the things that I think about, did you find a mentor or something to help you along as you were growing your business, or while you were doing the work for someone else, you really had what you needed to be successful as an entrepreneur?
I would say yes. And the funny thing about that is the mentors that I found were not people that I knew personally. I inserted myself in certain rooms, and even in the digital space like this. So you can have access to people that you would never be able to get in a room with online. So I searched out people who were successful in areas that I wanted to be successful in and who could teach me and who I could glean from.
Y'all, did you hear her? Faith
And
with
it
work.
was free.
And it was free. So did you hear her? Faith with works. Faith with works was her going out and finding mentors to help her through this thing. And for her, it was free. Some stuff though, is not going to be free, like legal services that you need from a person like me.
It was free.
Huh? What'd you say?
Initially, it was free.
Right. And so as you establish even more, there is some level of investment, but at least you get pointed in the right direction.
Absolutely. And you get exposure is everything. So you're in conversations and being open up to things that you would not have known or been exposed to otherwise.
Y'all, I hope y'all are catching this. I really, really, really hope you all are catching this. So, being an entrepreneur of faith, right? And being God's business partner here on earth. Ooh, I like that one. I really like that one. Being God's business partner here on earth. Do you have more of a responsibility than another person who is not an entrepreneur of faith?
I would say, of course, of course, I have a responsibility, or we have a responsibility to be an example. And again, by helping people by sharing your story and demonstrating, working things out before people, demonstrating, taking God at his word. That's what I said. So I would say that again.
So in what ways did you have to take God at his word in your business?
Let's see some examples. So early on, there was a lot of equipment that I needed, and I had to put out money, upfront costs that I was not expecting to. And I thought it would have positioned me in a bad space, and it didn't. So I had to invest.
Okay.
On people and make pitches when I didn't feel ready to do those things at the time.
Yeah, I want to lean into that piece around that investment. Okay. And then that piece around pitching when you don't feel ready. As someone who walks aspiring entrepreneurs from their dream to actually living it as a business owner, one of the things that I see is the level of fear that holds them back from actually being in action and making the money that they could be making sooner rather than later. And so how do we start to act boldly and confidently to show up? That's literally it, to show up.
Just put yourself out there. I know that's not the advice you want to hear, right? And I hear people say, start before you're ready. And that may sound a little cliche, but it's true. I say clarity comes with engagement. So as you're going, you will perfect your pitch, you will perfect your wording, you'll perfect your order, but you have to just get started. And you will learn, I find most of the times, that it did not take all of what you thought it would to find success.
clarity comes with engagement. And that's one of the things that I hear the most is like, I don't know what to do as my next step. I don't know where to start. So the major key here is if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, the best thing you can do for yourself is to start.
You start.
Right. And to move, because Charmaigne just told us, as you move, you will then gain the clarity that you need, and you will then be able to perfect some of the things that you have set forth in your own business.
Yes, and you're moving and you're starting. That is a clarifier, right? It is a confidence builder. That is a perfecter in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so even as we think through that, building our confidence and actually starting, what is our responsibility to make sure that we reach back to our other fellow entrepreneurs of faith?
I think that's that the service piece and that helping piece, right? Just a believer and a person of faith. That's very part of our a huge part of our DNA, I say, as believers.
Yeah. And so one of the things that's popping out when I hear you say that is like, there's a Bible verse that says, let the mind that is in Christ also be, something like that. Y'all read your Bible, you will learn it, you'll know it. But when we think about that, we think about how Jesus was loving, how he was caring. And so as we are doing business with the public, we have to be loving and we have to be caring. One of my mentors, he says this, it's people over profits.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Right. And so we have to handle people with care, even when they don't handle us with care.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so that's a part of that responsibility that we have. And, it keeps us also from having a bad rap. If I'm honest, like entrepreneurs of faith, it's just like, I had a client come to me and say, and she's a well-known like person of faith, and her business just was not right. How can we avoid getting a bad rap as entrepreneurs?
Are you saying that that's like a common thing?
Is not the first or second time I've heard it.
With faith?
Yeah, it is not the first or second time that I've heard it. And it pierces people in a way that really causes them sometimes to think about like the God in a person.
Right, to question.
Because they've held them to a certain level, and now it's like, what's happening here? You promised me this, I didn't get this, or you mishandled me from a business standpoint. And so now I'm like kind of like looking at God like, why do people treat people like this?
Well, I would say that the believer or the person of faith is a person, and there may be room for error, and we are in different spaces and with our walk with God. So it shouldn't be like an attack on him, or not an attack. What's the word that I'm looking for? But of course, we are to be integrist and to be honest and to try to model what we say we believe.
Yeah. So I think that's important for us, and I will add on to that too, just to think through the ways that we can use the discernment to know whether or not this is something we should be doing right now.
Right.
And thinking through, sometimes we're so excited about getting a certain result, and we need to pause and say like, well, let me talk to my business partner.
I was about to say, but doesn't it go back to that piece of what the different, God being a different, help me here, God being a difference? That's not the word I wanted to use, but I'm close. When he's on board, so you get checked and chastised, or that tap on your shoulder that you need, like, what are you doing? Like any other good partner would say, and how your actions are impacting the business, your profitability, your reputation. You get all of that when he's on board.
Listen, if you listen, this is another one you need
You
to
might
take down.
not necessarily get from a person, but when God is on board and he's at the forefront of your business, you get all of that.
So as entrepreneurs of faith, we need to one, make sure we have God on board,
Yes.
that he's at the forefront with that direction and leadership. And a personal practice of mine, I don't get it right all the time, right? I'm not sitting here as an expert, but I am sitting here as someone who's experienced. I literally ask God, is this an investment I should be making?
Mm-hmm.
And I will wait for the answer, because in reality, if we're partners, I have to prove that I'm a good steward over the resources that he's given me so that he can trust me with more in my business.
Yes.
And so if I'm going here and if we go to the parable of the talents, there's no return on that investment on what he's given to me. It might be a little slap on the wrist, some chastisement. And
Right.
so to help us avoid that, just talk to your business partner, okay?
Just talk to your business partner. And the beauty about that is it's all according to your level of ability, right?
Yep, all according to your level of ability. And so if I could think through things that we should avoid as entrepreneurs to make sure that we don't hinder our brand and hinder our progress, what are some pitfalls that we can avoid as entrepreneurs?
When people, I think there should always be room for continuous improvement, continuous learning, having wise counsel, and listening to your trusted advisors. I would say also to be mindful to work in and to work on your business.
Okay, so people
And
probably hear that a lot.
Service too. Continue
And to do what?
To offer great service, good service.
Okay, so offer good service, work in and on your business. Make sure you have trusted advisors. I want us to zoom into the work,
the wisdom, and
listen.
Remain teachable. Remain teachable.
Remain teachable. Always learn. And then actually have a standard of excellence in your business, a standard of excellence in delivering your services. One of the things I want to lean into is actually, what does it mean to work in and on your business? Because for new entrepreneurs, they're like, I hear this a lot, but what does this look like for me in my life? So could you give us an example of what that means?
So I'll use myself, right? So I represent designers on a wholesale scale, meaning if you had a dress collection, I'm the person who presents the collection to department stores, boutiques, online retailers, all of this wonderful stuff. So working in my business, I'd be mindful of sending out pitches, calling and emailing buyers, answering calls, responding to emails, all of that wonderful stuff that comes with all of your day-to-day tasks, we'll say. That's working in your business. Working on your business is being mindful of your numbers, your process, making sure you have the tools necessary to be successful.
Okay. So she made it clear for us. In our business is the day-to-day tasks, making sure that you're doing what you need to do to actually deliver on what it is that you said you will do. But then working on is just like taking a step back and then actually being that CEO and understanding what it means to be a CEO, to plan, to learn, to network, and do
processes.
To have what? To have processes in place and systems.
To have
that's what it means to be in and on your business.
Yes, things that you need, all of those tools.
So, you have to take off that hat sometime as being the worker and then put on that hat of being the CEO, thinking through, all right, so now that I have things pretty set up, When do I start to hire people to help me in my business? We know nowadays, like, there is no business and brand that does not have a social media presence, right? And so how do you build your business and your brand through social media? As you think through, how do you get in front of more audiences to learn more about your market, but also to attract more people to your brand and business? These are real gems that you need, because if you're not doing these things, you're going to be frustrated because you're like, what is happening with my sales?
It's
And
so
your
true.
sales are maximized when you work in and own your business.
Absolutely.
So, Charmaigne, what advice do you have for new and aspiring entrepreneurs looking to get started?
I would say insert yourself in circles, networking events, making contacts. I would say bootstrapping your business or what it takes to get started. I said let your job be finance your business. So maybe bootstrap. Let your job be your investor. Yeah, that's a better way to say it. I would say reading business books, becoming knowledgeable, and continuous learning on the arenas and the things that you plan to do.
Okay, okay. Well, y'all, this has been pretty informative. We've learned a lot of like what our responsibility is if we're going to be an entrepreneur of faith, what it means to have God as our business partner, to include him and guide him, to help him guide us in wisdom, to learn through some of the pitfalls, to make sure that we're not out here being raggedy. I'm sorry, I had to say it how I felt it.
Raggedy.
Raggedy as a business, and that we're reaching back to make sure that we mentor others so that they don't have to make the mistakes that we've made, and that they don't have to go through some of the things that we may have had to have gone through because we've done it for them. And so, do you have any final thoughts on our subject?
Not really.
Not really. If I was with her, I would pinch her, y'all. I would pinch her. Okay, I will pinch her. If you want to connect with Charmaigne, you can go to her LinkedIn, and it is literally Charmaigne Wallace. If you want to connect with Charmaigne, you can go to her LinkedIn at Charmaigne Wallace. If you're in the fashion industry, if you're looking for one of those mentors that she talked about, you can reach out and make sure that you connect with her. All right, because your network is your net worth. And if you're looking to start or grow your business or protect your business, brand, and profits, please connect with me at IamandMore.com. I know my name is spelled with 2 O's, but I Am and More is really about you and you understanding that when you come to this website, you are and you are more, right? And so if you are a new entrepreneur, you're an aspiring entrepreneur, even established entrepreneurs. One of my clients been in business for 20 years. I did a presentation. She was like, whoa, I think I missed some steps. You want to make sure that you are confident that you have not missed steps. So go head to the website right now and download my free business checklist. And if you're serious and not curious, sign up for a free discovery call. Charmaigne Wallace, thank you for teaching us today. Thank you for pouring into us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So with that, y'all, we will see you in about 2 weeks, maybe a week. Who knows what's happening in these I Am and More streets. It's been another episode of The Journey to More. Be blessed.